what was I saying? Yeah, I don't think they liked it because they closed the site and then within a day or two we had it up again with a different domain name. So, I mean, they said he made another website. Well, that's not possible to make another website in 24 hours. He just had another domain name, which I'm not a geek or anything. I don't know about making websites, but that can't have been a very difficult thing to resurrect it with another domain name using the same. It was the same website. Really.
Just to go on to the point where you say that he changed the domain name,
yeah.
Do you feel he's in the wrong by changing that domain name?
Well, I think he, bearing in mind the age, you're talking about a young lad of 19 or 20 as a student, I think he thought when they put that, they didn't actually write to him and say, we're going to close your website down because we don't like it. They just slapped that big thing on it, saying it had been seized, and I think he just thought, well, I'm not anything to do with America, so they can sod off, basically. That was the thing. He just thought, I'm not in America, what are they doing? So he just did that, probably not a wise thing to do, but, you don't always do wise things, do you, at that age?
Linking in with the USA, do you think, with the UK agreeing to the extradition, basically, do you think they're pandering to the USA and more bothered about their relationship?
Well, people say that, don't they? The thing is, with extradition, it doesn't work both ways in the same way. No matter what the American embassy keep peddling out on their website and stuff. Last week or 2 weeks ago I got a Freedom of Information request from the Home Office which stated that not one American citizen has ever been extradited for something that they've done in America. So I knew that anyway, but that confirms it. Because in their constitution and the way their legal system operates, people don't get extradited so easily, and in fact they wouldn't allow an American citizen to be extradited for conduct which had taken place in America. I mean, they might say, well, the UK has never asked for them. Well, they've never asked for them because they know they're not going to get them, because constitutionally and in their legal system Americans have greater protections than British citizens, and that Freedom of Information request has proven that. They've got a population of 5 times of the UK, so potentially they should have 5 times as many criminals, and they should have 5 times as many computer criminals because, of the numbers, and because they're a highly technological nation anyway. So they must have people doing things on the internet that are crimes that could be said would be a crime, against different countries. But they don't allow the extradition for offences that are committed without leaving America.
How do you think the relationship between the extradition between people from the UK to America, vice versa, if it ever happened, could be improved?
Well, obviously I didn't know anything about extradition law until this happened, but I know much more about it now, and since this law was brought in with no parliamentary scrutiny in 2003, brought in through the back door of a Queen's prerogative, campaigners and MPs have been objecting to it and asking for it to be amended to make it fairer to British citizens, in the same way that it's fairer to American citizens.
Just on the back of that, you say MPs have campaigned. What have you, if any, support have you had any from, say, Nick Clegg, who's the MP of Sheffield Hallam, Dennis Skinner, MP of Bolsover, and have you had any meetings with Tim Farron?
Tim Farron spoke out recently, as you'll be aware, on the telly and in Parliament and in the press in support of Richard. I think representing the Lib Dems. Dennis Skinner, I have been in contact with. He's my MP, he's not Richard's MP. But for him also, extradition would not be something that he'd be knowledgeable about. So he's kind of having to learn a bit more about that himself. Because unless you've got a constituent who's being extradited and gone through that, then you're not forced to have a lot of knowledge about it. But I understand that Dominic Raab is kind of filling him in on extradition matters. Nick Clegg isn't Richard's MP. He's the MP for Sheffield Hallam, but he's not actually. That's not, every time Richard changes uni accommodation every year, he gets a new MP. So we haven't actually met with his MP. We did have a meeting, who is Meg Munn actually. We did have a meeting arranged in London, but our train ran over somebody on the way, so we didn't make it. But somebody else, Liberty, went to that meeting on our behalf, and somebody else. So they give her a kind of crash course in extradition. So I guess we might get around to going to meet with her. We did meet Paul Blomfield, who was Richard's previous MP, but as I say, every time Richard changes an address, he has to change an MP if it's, depending where he lives. We've had lots of support from other MPs, the ones that are fighting extradition for their other constituents, like Dominic Raab, like David Burrows. Keith Vaz has been good, spoken out quite a few times. Sir Menzies Campbell has spoken out a few times. And a few other random MPs that I wouldn't have expected, So just speaking out really, and then reinforcing the need for the government to be changing the law.
Does it hearten you, the amount of MPs which have been in your son's favour?
Well, that does, yes, but they've been fighting this battle for years before we got it brought to us. They've been fighting it for Gary McKinnon, a lot of them, which has been going on for years. So it's just a battle that's been going on for years, and quite a number of MPs, or David Davis as well, he's another one who's spoken out, have been fighting for a long time. But, this government, when they came into power, said they'd have a look at it and make any amendments, but they so far haven't pulled their fingers out to do anything. But America does have a bit of an influence on that, I'd say.
Well, from what I read, there was apparently no UK charges for Richard. With that being the case, do you think that should have been the end of the matter?
The thing is, in order to be extradited, firstly, the thing you've done has to be a crime in both countries. But if they had charged him in this country, they wouldn't have been able to extradite him. So they'd have to drop it in the UK in order to proceed with extradition, which was what happened. Richard was questioned by the police, put on bail, told to go to the police station in 6 months' time, and when we went, we thought he'd either be charged or not charged, or they'd want more time to investigate. But they said, the criminal investigation has been dropped in the UK. And that is dropped to make way for America. That's how it works, because you can't be charged in both countries with the same offence either. You're not allowed to be charged in both countries.
So do you feel your son is a pawn between the USA and England?
I think if he had been charged in this country, that would have been fine, but I don't think he would have been found guilty of any crimes, and I think that might be one reason why they've left it to America, because the law is different. He may have broken the law in America. America's got about 50 states. They all have different laws. So, it may be a crime in America to post links, but it's not. Previous cases in this country have been shown that it's not a crime. And I think it's FACT, they call the Federation Against Copyright. I don't know what the T stands for. Anyway, against copyright crime or something in the UK, I think they will have just thought, we're never going to get a conviction here, we'll let them have it in America. That's what I think, because they knew that they wouldn't make it stick. That's just my view anyway.
How would you compare your son's actions to those of hackers such as Lulzec Group, Anonymous, and the group they're known as Griefers?
They're known as what?
Griefers.
I've never heard of that before. What does that mean?
They're just like a random group of people. They do stuff like last year there was a Twitter poll asking people where they thought Justin Bieber should tour, and en masse they put North Korea and stuff like that.
Right, I don't know what the point of. Well, hacking is a completely different thing, isn't it? Richard is not a hacker. I know a couple of the press reports have referred to him as a hacker. They get a bit confused.